Welcome to Smex Ed. Class is in session.
I'm your host, Amanda King, and I'm here to teach anybody who wants to fucking listen how to have the audacity to say fuck it to societal standards and live their most authentic life. This podcast is dedicated to bringing the sexual conversations we have behind doors onto the main fucking stage. Because sex, masturbation, squirting, guess what? It is all normal. And by bringing these conversations to the forefront, we help people feel less alone in this world. We help them feel safe. We help them gain their power back. We help them step into their confidence and express themselves sexually in this world unapologetically. Because it takes fucking audacity to be your truest self. And we have a boatloads of audacity all up in this bitch. So let me ask you this. Are you ready for some epic shit?
The number one most received question that I get from followers is how to prep for anal sex. And I believe this is because growing up in sex education classes, we never really had the conversation about anal sex because if you're a millennial like me, it was kind of considered taboo and wasn't something that was taught to us. And therefore, we have no knowledge and education on it. And then we go to the internet and we get unbelievably overwhelmed or scared out of our fucking mind because we get into this Reddit horror story thread. So I am going to go over anal prep today. Since we did talk about rimming yesterday, I thought this would be a good segue into the weekend. So today I'm going to go kind of through a step-by-step process for anybody who is interested in anal play and want to know where to start. The first thing I would do is purchase a oral sex toy that is typically made for women. So you are talking about a toy that flicks and or vibrates or something along those lines. This is the Flaming Red Lips from Too Timid. I think it's a great toy to start with. Yes, it's used for oral sex, but what we want to do is we want to get the body prepared or ready for sensation back there, especially if you've never participated in anal play. It may feel a little weird going from like zero to trying to get into an anal plug kit. So I want you to go out or find a vibrating toy, and I want you to lube around your anus and then turn the toy on and just sit there and see how it feels. And also I want to say, kind of backing up, skip a step, I want you to warm yourself up first with another toy or your hands so that you are aroused before you do this, so you're not going in cold with the toy. Why? Because we want our body ready to feel pleasurable sensations. And if you go into backdoor play and you're not pre-aroused, sometimes it can just make it uncomfortable or just not as pleasing as it could be. So use the toy, and if you're going to use a toy on your anus and your vagina or your penis, use two separate toys. Arouse yourself first, then lubricate around the anus, turn your vibrating toy on, and then just kind of move around the anus. We're not focusing on penetration here. We are focusing on getting the body to recognize that sensation back there can feel good without our bodies tensing up, because that typically happens. Now I want you to do a few private sessions or partner play sessions with just this sensation first. Once again, we are getting the body used to something being back there so that we don't tense up when we start to get into penetration. And so play with this a few times. See what you like, see what really works for you. This is going to be different. Try different positions rather than being like lying on your back and going between your legs. Lie on your side. You can get on all fours and have your partner hold the toy while you hold the other toy. It's really up to you and your partner or yourself what you want to do, but explore with different positions, different types of stimulation. So vibration, air suction, any type of those toys, just play around and see what works for you. Then you're going to purchase an anal plug kit. With your anal plug kit, you are going to purchase a water water-based lubricant. Why water-based lubricants? One, you need lubrication. Number two, water-based lubricants are safe to use with toys. They're safe with condoms. They're just overall, in my opinion, the best style lubricants. Now, what you're going to do is when you purchase an anal plug kit, you are going to look for one that the size doesn't seem overwhelming or daunting to you. Typically, they come in packs of 3 and or 4, and they vary in size. I don't have anything flat to hold this up against, but as you can see, with each size, they get a little bit larger in width and with height and girth. So the point of this is to take the very first toy and work with this first to practice what is called anal stretching. Why are we practicing anal stretching? Because the anus is a muscle and we need to stretch it and work it and prepare it and build strength just like a normal muscle. We never want to go 0 to 100 with anal sex in general, but especially if you are a beginner, because this can cause tears. It could cause possibly an anal prolapse and like extreme conditions or circumstances. And so we want to make sure that we are building that muscle. So we're going to get the smallest one. We are going to take our water-based lubricant. We are going to lubricate the toy to the point where it's almost slipping out of our hands. We're going to lubricate around our anus. And then we are going to take this toy and we are slowly going to insert it. Literally inch by inch. Hold it in there for a second. Pull it back out. Put it in, hold it in there for a second, put it back out. Now, as the toy is being pushed in, you want to take your anus and push out, almost like you're going to the bathroom, and don't be like, oh my God, that's so gross. Like, we're adults here. Let's just have this conversation. So you want to push out so that your body starts accepting the toy in, because the anus isn't necessarily something that things go up into. It's something that things come out of. So we have to relax it. We have to relax it so it will be able to accept something being inserted inside of it. Now, if you start to do this and you tense up and you get really, really, really scared and you're like, oh my God, the toy is barely going in, you're not relaxed enough. You need to back up and you need to go back to playing with the oral toys until your body gets used to the sensation, because we never want to force or jam anything up into our anus and cause any type of harm. Now, if you can get it in a little bit, and this is about as much as you can get it in for the first session, and you're like, I can't go past here, that's perfect. It's fine. This is a slow and steady race. This isn't, we're trying to jam this whole thing up into our anus the very first session. So we want to go very, very slow. So if the first session, all you can get is right here, you're golden. Now, you want to keep doing that session after session after session until you can take this fully in and leave it in for an entire session, about 15 minutes. Once you're able to go an entire session with this inside of you, then that's when you move up to the next size and you rinse and repeat until you are up to the full size. And I know this is a slow process and people are like, but I want to experience anal sex right now. I get it. I want you to experience that amount of pleasure. Like, I am the pleasure queen. I want you to feel that pleasure, but I want you to do it in a safe way that doesn't cause you any harm, because nothing is more embarrassing than going to the hospital and having to explain to a doctor, hey, we tried to force my spouse's genitalia up my ass and now my entire anus is hanging outside of my ass, or the fact that like he caused a tear, or sometimes people can get vibrators stuck up there because as always want something with a suction, like a end base, but I want to spare you from the embarrassing horror stories that people have gone through because they haven't educated themselves and they haven't taken the time to prep. Now, once you have gone through the anal plug kit, you are ready to participate in anal sex. So let's discuss some of the prep work and just some of the misconceptions of anal sex. You cannot just go from vaginal sex to anal sex. In fact, you should never go from vaginal sex to anal sex or anal sex to vaginal sex in one session. If you are going to focus on anal, it needs to be just anal. Why? Because there is bacteria in the anus and bacteria in the vaginal canal, and when they are contaminated, they can cause infections, yeast infections, UTIs, all of that. And once again, we don't want to put your partner in pain, because if we put your partner in pain and give them a yeast infection, they're not going to want to do this anymore. So if you are going to focus on anal sex, it needs to be the main focus of the session, and then use a toy for penetration. If you are going to participate in anal sex with genitalia, I highly suggest purchasing a good silicone-based lubricant. Water-based, great for toys. Silicone-based, no, because if you have silicone toys, it will degrade the toys over time. But silicone lubricants, almost messed that up. Silicone lubricants are the stickiest and the most long-lasting of lubricants. However, they're not the best with sensitive skin. They do sometimes stain. As you can see, the bottle just almost slipped out of my hand. Sometimes they do stain your sheets, and sometimes they can clog pores. So if you have, like I said, sensitive skin, you're prone to breaking out. Sometimes silicone lubricants can do that. But it is a great lubricant to use for anal sex because of the amount of slipperiness it has. It decreases friction, decreasing the likelihood of you being hurt. But if all of that was a big no to you, water-based lubricant will work just fine. Anal prep, because yes, you need to prep before anal sex. So here are a few things you need to do before anal sex. One, you need to have a bowel movement at least 24 hours before anal sex, if not as close to the session as possible, in order to obviously clean out the area. Never have anal sex if you have an upset stomach, IBS, and or are constipated. You're just asking for bad things to happen. Number two, make sure you eat a diet that is low spicy food. Like, you want to eat the blandest of bland foods that day in order to ensure that your stomach doesn't get upset during it, because once again, when you remove it, shit can happen. We're going to be real here. So have the bowel movement. Then eat a bland food diet that day. Next thing you want to do is kind of personal preference. You can douche or don't douche. Douching has benefits and cons for both. Douching is when you put saline solution up into the anal cavity in order to clean it. Now, there are, like I said, benefits of douching. It does clean the anus. However, the con of douching is the fact that you are taking out bad bacteria, but you're also wiping out good bacteria that is stored in the anus. So it's totally up to you, personal preference wise. If you are someone who is definitely more nervous about like poop coming out at the end or being on the toilet, I would suggest douching. I would also suggest showering beforehand just to make sure that you're clean, or using some type of wipe back there to make sure that you are pristine. Next thing for prep work you will need are paper towels, wet wipes, trash bags, just in case something does happen, because you can do all of the prep work and guess what? Someone can pull out and some stuff, some poop can come out. It may not be a lot, but it could be a little on the genitalia. Also, just making sure that your partner is fully educated in anal sex before participating in anal sex with any person. Just because uneducated people are the reason so many people hate anal sex, because they hurt their partners, they don't think about their safety, they do everything wrong, or they embarrass their partners when something does happen, because it's a fact of the matter is poop comes out of the anus. There is always a slight possibility that it may come out, but typically if you do the prep work and eat a bland diet, you will be completely fine. So don't let that hold you back. However, I personally think partner choice is really key here, because you never want a partner who's going to embarrass you if something like that happens. And if you have a partner who embarrasses you when something like that happens, it's within your right never to do that with them again. They don't deserve that, because awkward moments are going to happen during sex, and partners should be understanding about that, not judgment. And that is all that I have for you today. I think that was a really good, quick training on all things beginner anal play. As usual, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to DM me, snap me, leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on my podcast, whatever, wherever you're hearing and or watching this, feel free to reach out, and I can always do follow-up questions as well. But I will always talk about anal play because it, like I said, I get asked this question or a form of this question every single freaking day. And so we need to normalize the conversation. We need to make it less taboo, and we need to educate the masses so that people are doing it in a safe manner, because safety is key, and safety equals pleasure. Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to Smex Ed with Amanda.
And some parting words for you today. Remember this: no matter how hard society pushes you down, no matter how many times you fall, as long as you get the fuck back up, they can never stop you. You are unfuckable with. You will win. Don't allow this world to dictate how you show up in it. Don't allow society to make you bend the knee. Instead, make them bend theirs. And don't forget, if you like what you heard, go on to iTunes and Spotify and leave your girl a review. Until next time, my beautiful people.